Uxie and Clawitzer are two Pokemon you never commonly see in VGC, however get some new tricks in this generation, with Clawitzer having access to Terra and Mega Launcher boosting up its damage output. It might be a really interesting pick, as well as Uxie with Mystical Power, which is a Psychic type move that increases its special attack with the user by 1 stage guaranteed. It does have some interesting concepts. We're going to be trying out this team and see how well they can perform. This is Kotaro's Uxie and Clawitzer Trick Room team. The idea of the team is to set up Trick Room with Uxie using double intimidate factors like Arcanine and Landers to help out Uxie be able to sponge up attacks better, fake out support from Iron Hands, and redirection with the Amoonguss alongside Spore Pressure. Uxie is a really cool combination because it gets access to Yawn, unlike Cresselia, which is pretty interesting, forcing opponents to keep swapping out potentially or take that sleep. Otherwise, it has that Mystical Power, which is a move that it gets in this generation that increases its special attack guaranteed as a psychic move, and it's pretty decent and can stack up pretty well, especially with Draining Kiss healing. And then the Clawitzer able to do so much damage with the Mega Launcher and its choice specs, and with that Mega Launcher able to power up its Aura Spear and Dark Pulse with this Terra Dark one with a really strong, powerful Muddy Water too. We're going to be trying out this team and see how well it performs. Landisfarian, Urshifu, Fluttermane, Iron Hands, Amoonguss, and Xian Pao. Okay, a very common standard team. What my matchup is here, I'm not exactly 100% certain, but I guess we'll just figure it out here. I think Iron Hands and the Uxie are probably really good lead here. Landers isn't too bad with the Intimidate either. Do I want to bring the Arcanine? It's not like I have safety goggles, and it's not like, I mean, it helps against Fluttermane, and having a Fluttermane resist is always helpful. I do want to bring Uxie, I think I do want to bring the Iron Hands, and then in the back, this is where I'm kind of curious. I feel like it's probably a Amoonguss. Like, having Intimidate's nice, but it's not necessary. It helps against the Xianpao quite a bit, but if I have Fake Out and I get to trick him off, it's like not that big of a deal if I don't have Intimidate. I like the Amoonguss because it could either force a Terra from Iron Hands, or I don't know, maybe Landers is better. But if I have Amoonguss, I can at least Pollen Puff, even if it Terra Grasses, to ignore my Rage Powers and Spores. So my Uxie is healthier, and I could set up maybe multiple Trick Rooms, which I actually do prefer, I think. The only reason is like Landorus, sure, but like I feel like I'm going to get weakened pretty early on, and I don't know if Scarf Landorus can really clean up or help pivot enough to allow me to take the hits well enough outside of the Trick Room and then maybe set up another one, because I don't think I'm going to be able to sweep this team with like one Trick Room. This team does have a lot of like defensive tools, like the Amoonguss, especially with Spore, is going to be a little bit annoying. We're going to see the Fluttermane plus the Urshifu. Okay, so I have a few options. I have like Terra, which I could transform into. I could just go for the Trick Room, which I kind of like, although I don't know if I'll live a Spec Shadow Ball. I guess we could figure that out. I could also just go Amoonguss and Heavy Slam, which I kind of like actually, because that guarantees I live with Shadow Ball plus a Surging Strikes if they go for it. The only way this goes bad is if they target down my Iron Hands with a double up, but I feel like they would probably want to prevent Trick Room from going up. I'm just going to go for the Heavy Slam here. They could go for Terra if they want to avoid getting knocked out with Fluttermane here. That's definitely another option. Like, go for the Terra Grass, go for Surging Strikes plus the Shadow Ball. Because if I'm not mistaken, this should be Terra Grass on Fluttermane as the most common one. We're going to see the Urshifu retreat. So this might be their own Amoonguss, which actually is helpful too. Let's see. No, Landers. That makes sense. They get intimidated off into my Iron Hand, so I can't knock out the Fluttermane, and probably a Shadow Ball. Maybe they go for Moonblast because maybe they don't expect a KO on the Uxie, but we are able to go out into our Amoonguss right here. And let's see what they're going to decide to go for. It is Shadow Ball. Yeah, perfect. Okay, nice. So Amoonguss is able to tank it. No special defense drop is really good. A Heavy Slam is going to come out and knock out the Fluttermane in one shot. So that is a beautiful knockout. Actually, yeah, I'm surprised the Fluttermane still went down to -1 Heavy Slam, but I'll definitely take it. So that means Uxie is a lot more freed up now. And let's see who they're going to bring out. Maybe there's Shifu coming out. I have Citrus Berry on Amoonguss, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable about being able to survive any attack from the Landers besides a Terra Blast. I think the Landers usually run safety goggles on this team, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to see the Xianpao come out. All right. Which... okay, so are they going for the ground move? I think my best play is always just to protect the Amoonguss and just swap out into the Uxie. They might double up the Iron Hand slot with a ground move plus Icicle Crash or Ice Spinner, which I think is fine. But I like resetting the Intimidate because, again, Iron Hands is really useful. Having that Fake Out support to help deal with these Pokemon, I think, is really nice. And I feel like I could probably just go for a Rage Powder plus Trick Room if they do go for, like, Icicle Crash and Amoonguss and Stomping Tantrum the following turn. So they go for the Crash and Amoonguss. They want to deny a potential Spore. I could have went for Terra Water, but they might double up here. And that's beautiful, yeah. That's absolutely beautiful. Okay, nice. So perfect turn here. I am able to get Uxie in very safely and just go for a Rage Powder with the Amoonguss and a Trick Room here. The reason I Rage Powder is because Crash could knock out, Crash into Terra Blast could knock out the Uxie. So I'd rather just go for the Trick Room here. Yeah. So we're going to go for the Rage Powder. No Terras just yet, which is fine. We're probably going to force a Terra in the following turns. We're going to see the Crash come out. It is going to target down the Amoonguss. Landers probably U-turning out into the Urshifu, and if that's the case, that's completely okay. Now they go for Stomping Tantrum again into the Uxie. Okay, beautiful. And I'm able to get the Trick 'em up with the Uxie, and now we can go for some pretty threatening pins right here because we have a Clawitzer that can just go for a Muddy Water, and we can Terra Fairy or Uxie. I want to Terra Fairy to Uxie, I'm pretty sure. Just go for that Muddy Water and pressure, and then I think I want to go for a Mystical Power and start boosting up the Uxie. I think Uxie next to Iron Hands can just win, although I do think Clawitzer next to Uxie can also just win. I want to cover for Urshifu coming in potentially, but I don't think that would be the case. I think most likely they're going to Terra the Landers. I don't really see Terra or Urshifu coming out here. I mean, they could, but it's, I don't think a great position for them. Or they actually do switch up the Landers, which I thought, but like I did double up to cover this, but it ends up working out really well for me because the problem is this Muddy Water is still doing a lot of damage, and I am doubling up again the Landers. Maybe they thought I was going to double up the Shi and Pound, pick up the knockout, which makes sense here. But yeah, we will go for the Terra Fairy with the Uxie. Now Sucker Punch is not super effective, and we resist it too. They Sucker Punch the Clawitzer, or the Clawitzer, which is fine. We're able to go for a Muddy Water. We hit both, which is amazing because we are able to break a Sash on the Shi and Pow, and we are able to go for that Mystical Power into the Urshifu, pick up that knockout, get a guaranteed special attack boost, which is wonderful here. And now, fantastic turn. I think I'm just gonna Draining Kiss the. Yeah, I Draining Kiss the Shi Pow and go out into my Iron Hands. I think is pretty safe. I guess this is still not an easy game to guarantee to win here. I want to go Iron Hands and I want to Draining Kiss, I think. Yeah, I do want to go for this though. Because the thing is, Shi Pow could play a mind game. So the thing is, they have to Sucker Punch the Clawitzer here, or they Protect. They Sucker Punch if they expect my Clawitzer to stay in, and if I Muddy Water and I do land, it's really bad for them. They could Protect here on two suspicions of me switching out the Clawitzer, or the fact that they just pray for the Muddy Water miss onto the Landers, which I think both are like pretty viable plays here. So maybe I should have just went for the Yawn into Landers, but there is like a pretty decent chance I think they still go for the Sucker Punch regardless. If they go for Stomping Tantrum and it knocks out the Iron Hands, then it gets a little bit tricky, but I think I should still be okay. They do go for the Protect with the Shi and Pow, so good play on their part. I still think that this is still probably okay in the long term. We'll find out though. Yeah, they did go for Stomping Tantrum, so good play on their part. I do survive one Stomping Tantrum, which is beautiful. And now I can just go for a Fake Out here, and I can go for a Draining Kiss. I guess they could go for the Double Protect here. Like, I feel like you should always go for the Double Protect here. So maybe I should just Yawn. But if they do attack with Shi and Pow, it's so bad for me. No, I think I still Draining Kiss anyway. Yeah, I still think I Draining Kiss anyway. Maybe this is starting to falter. I did think... Because, like, the thing is, I can't really afford them to get damage into Uxie. If they get damage into Uxie this turn, that isn't, like, just a Sucker Punch. I think it's really bad because then I actually get double knocked out the following turn. They actually go for a Terra this time around. So is this Terra Xianpao expecting to fake out? No, they are tearing the landers. So, all right. So they do Terra flying the landers, which is perfectly fine. They're weak to wall charge. They're no longer weak to my muddy water, which is okay here. They did attack with the Xianpao, so thankfully I did get the call right here. They sucker punch the Iron Hands because I think they expected me to Drain Punch, I guess. Draining Kiss going to come out into the Xianpao, which is going to be able to pick up the knockout. Recovery doesn't matter because I'm at full health. And now, Landorus, do you have anything specific that you can really do here? I mean, my safest play is probably just to go into Claw. Yeah, it's into Clawitzer and go for a Trick Room. Because Wild Charge is just always going to be able to knock out the Landorus. Battle's going to be forfeit because they kind of realize that they can't really win here. Yeah, they really can't win. I mean, maybe if like they Rock Slide flinch me a bunch, and I mean a bunch. If they have Rock Slide, even I don't know if they have Rock Slide. I imagine it's U-turn, protect, Terra Blast if they're flying and stomping Tantrum. So not 100% certain, but thankfully was able to pick up the win there. Uxie was actually pretty good there. Uxie plus Clawitzer. Who knew? Wo-Chien, Sylveon, Landorus, Incarnate Form, Sneasler, Pelipper, and Basculegion. I feel like I've seen this team before on a rental code. It was like a Solvest Wo-Chien, Choice Specs, like 3 attack Sylveon. I think it was... What was the Sneasler? It was either Citrus Berry or Normal Gem, but I'm not exactly too sure about the sets. So we're just going to play out and see how it goes. One Pokemon I actually really do like in this matchup is going to be the Clawitzer. Clawitzer is actually really good in this matchup. I prepare for it right. If I remember, the Basculegion's Rocky Helmet for some reason. Again, I don't know if the sets are confirmed, but if it is, that makes it a lot easier for me. So I like the Uxie lead. Uxie's really strong here. I like Uxie plus either Arcanine or Landorus. Both aren't too bad. The Arcanine for the Intimidate, so the Basculegion can't knock me out with like a Help Me Hand Wave Crash, for instance, if it isn't that set, which I do kind of like. I also like having a Fairy Resist, which is pretty big. Amoonguss isn't bad in this matchup, but I don't think I'll need it. I like the Uxie plus Arcanine lead, and I think in the back have the Iron Hands and the Clawitzer. Because Clawitzer damage output's actually pretty impressive against the team. And I like Iron Hands to help out against Wo-Chien, the Pelipper. Just Pokemon that like Clawitzer doesn't exactly have an easy time breaking through. So my game plan is just going to be trying to get Trick Room up, and then hopefully Clawitzer can sweep. I think it can under the right conditions. The Wo-Chien could be a little bit hard because of the fact that it is actually like a little bit annoying if it is at a Solvest set. So let's see how it's going to perform. We're going to bring out the Uxie plus Arcanine versus the Sneasler and Sylveon. So Arcanine in a pretty good position. Close combat is still pretty threatening, but the Sneasler is threatened by my mystical power on the Uxie here. I have a few options I can go for. I think I just want to go for a mystical power straight off the bat into the Sneasler, and I think I kind of want to just go for a Flare Blitz or Rock Slide. A Rock Slide is kind of tempting here into Sylveon, or just a Flare Blitz. I kind of like the Flare Blitz and getting more power out from my Arcanine. If Fake Out comes out, that's okay. Close combat, I should survive 1. They go for a Fake Out in a Uxie because they want to try to deny Trick Room, which makes a lot of sense, and that's why I want to go for that Flare Blitz here into that Sylveon and get as much damage as I possibly can. And yeah, as you can see, like, look at how much damage I just did to that Sylveon. A Burn is actually pretty helpful because that burn damage might guarantee put in extreme speed range, where I might have risked a roll earlier. However, it's going to come out. Does look like Choice Specs did do a lot of damage, but yeah, looking like a very solid position right now. And now I can just go for a Trick Room pretty safely, I think, with my Uxie, and go for that extreme speed into the Sylveon before Arcanine gets knocked out by a potential close combat. I don't think the Sneasler at -1 can knock out the Uxie. Dire Claw shenanigans is like the only way Uxie pretty much doesn't get to move here, or a critical hit, of course, which I'm hoping none of those occur. They should be like Choice Specs. It does look like Choice Specs Sylveon based on the damage. Trick Room's looking pretty good. Clawitzer's looking amazing to sweep under the right condition. Even Iron Hands can just sweep their team under the right spots. So looking like a really strong position here. And I'm not that worried about the Sneasler. We're going to see Sylveon retreat, which is fine. We're going to see the Pelipper? Or is that Wo-Chien? That is Basculegion. Okay. I don't mind Basculegion coming in. And let's see. It's going to be Dire Claw into the Uxie. Okay. 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 We are able to get the trigger up, which is really, really important, actually. All right, perfect. So I have Iron Hands, and I do have the Clawitzer specifically to help out here. I think Sneasler, I don't know if they carry Protect. I kind of doubt it. I just want to Mystical Fire and Extreme Speed the Sneasler and just get as much damage output as I can. I kind of want to free switch to hands. They do have Aqua Jet, I think, on the Basculegion. Extreme Speed is going to go before the Aqua Jet, of course, unless the Sneasler again protects, but it could switch out too. I could definitely see maybe Wo-Chien coming, and that's all right if it does, but looks like no switches, so I do get an Extreme Speed off into the Sneasler. Aqua Jet is going to come out into the Arcanine, which is a-okay for me here. That's pretty much the only reason why I had Arcanine out, was to help guarantee the Trick Room and maybe get some damage. I get paralyzed, which is a bit unfortunate, but all right, as we are going to see the Dire Claw come out into the Uxie, which I am able to survive. Now I guess I can go out into the Clawitzer here, and I am going to go Clawitzer and just try to fire off as much powerful damage output as I can. I don't think they're going to last respect. It's probably Aqua Jet most likely here. I think I'm just going to go out into Iron Hands, and I'm just going to go for a... Do I want a Muddy Water? Do I want a Dark Pulse? I just want to make sure that I'm safe against... I don't think I want Dire Claw like being too effective in this matchup here. I could Dark Pulse the Basculegion, but I could see the Wo-Chien coming out. So I'm just going to Muddy Water and just try to get as much damage output. I also want to have a sack just in case I need to reset Clawitzer. So bring out the Iron Hands. A little bit unfortunate because of knocking out... Oh, come on. I think I missed the Basculegion, which I think is okay. Yeah, all right. So I am able to knock out the Sneasler. Not too bad, I suppose. We are able to eliminate that threat, and we are going to see a Last Respect come out. Let's target down the Iron Hands, but that is a-okay for me, as it isn't really able to do that much damage. And as we confirmed, it didn't have a Life Orb, so yeah, it's just... After one, it's just not enough, especially since it's a Swiss Wind Basculegion, not adaptability. Like, it's just not that powerful yet. Sylveon going to come out, and I'm pretty sure that Clawitzer should be slower than the Sylveon, I want to say. I don't think the Clawitzer has any speed, if I'm not mistaken, on this team. I haven't really checked. And Sylveon, not exactly... Yeah, I think I'm just going to Wall Charge and Muddy Water. I think that's a-okay for me. I don't want to lead the Basculegion low because Last Respect, of course, is putting a lot of pressure. Choice Specs Muddy Water should be able to pick up the knockout on Sylveon, so I should be okay here. We are going to see a Terra, though, so... Whatever's going to Terra, I mean, is it Grass? Because that's the only way I see this being a problem. If it's Fairy, they just lost their Water Resist, so even if I'm not hitting it super effectively, as long as I have Muddy Water, I think I'm okay here. And we do hit both Muddy Waters, which is really nice. So we are able to eliminate the Sylveon, which is beautiful, and we get a Wall Charge off in the Basculegion. So now it is a 2 or 3v1 scenario. I mean, Uxie, I don't think is going to be able to move, so I don't think it's really going to be able to do much. So I think really it's a 2v1, but we get to choose a lock-in move of our choice here. And I think Clawitzer's in a really, really prime position. Let's see if it's a Wo-Chien as the last Pokemon. Oh, it's Pelipper. They didn't bring the Wo-Chien, which is actually really good for me. So that explains a lot right here. Okay, I'm just going to go for a... I don't think it was Sash. Was it Sash Pelipper on this team? It probably was, but I don't see a reason not to just go for a Wall Charge into the Pelipper and just sack my Uxie. Because I don't want to go for Muddy Water if I don't have to. I'd rather lock into an accurate move like Dark Pulse. And they would still need a lot of RNG regardless. Like, if they're Focus Sash, they need to KO the Iron Hands with Hydro Pump. They need to get either Paralysis on the Uxie a bunch of times and a Hurricane Confusion, because a crit into Clawitzer with Hurricane is just not going to be enough damage. They need to get the Confusion and they need to self it. Just a lot of factors have to go right alongside me being paralyzed. So yeah, like they need a lot there, and thankfully didn't have to worry about it. Clawitzer was just able to sweep under the Trick Room, thankfully. Arcanine, Basculegion, Breloom, Xianpao, Golden Go, and Royal Moon. Oh, I actually know this team. Isn't this the team that Jamie Boyett was planning to bring to Worlds? And I'm pretty sure that Billa used it to get day 2 at the World Championship from day 1. So definitely interesting. Scarf, Basculegion, Focus Sash, Breloom. Was it Focus Sash Breloom? I think it was. Or maybe the Xianpao was. All right, how do I want to approach this? I do like Uxie a lot here. Uxie's really good. Uxie Landorus isn't too bad here. Uxie Landers or Uxie plus. Ah, man, there's so many good options here. I like Uxie Landers a lot, and I mean a lot, huh? tempting. I also like the Iron Hands lead straight up, which isn't too bad either. But I like the idea of just threatening a lead. You know what? Let's go with the Landers and then have Iron Hands plus the Clawitzer in the back. I think it's pretty good against this team. The only things that I really have to worry about are sleep turns, I think, from the Breloom. If they don't think I'm like grass or safety goggles on the Uxie, I gotta worry a little bit about the Golden Go. Actually, is this like just a variant? I'm not exactly sure if like this was the exact 6. I do remember quite a bit of it. Xian Pao plus the Aurora Moon is actually really good for me here. So I do lead the Landers plus the Uxie. So this is a very, very good turn here. Let's see. Sort of Ruin and Booster Energy. Were you speed or attack? I think that was a big one for me. Your speed, okay. So the only move I would really be scared of is Tailwind plus Ice Move in the Landers, but I think you can really tell by my team it's a Trick Room team, so I don't think you're going to go for that. I think my best play is just to go out into my Iron Hands on potential dark moves and just go for a U-turn here into the Xian Pao and bring back my Uxie in this slot. And I do like that play a lot. We're actually going to see the Xian Pao retreat, which is completely fine. And we're going to see the Basket Legion come in. So this ends up working out really well for me. I'm able to get a U-turn off into the Basket Legion. And yeah, this is actually really good, I think, because Iron Hands is in a pretty good spot. I get it. I got intimidated off into Roy Moon already. Roy Moon even protected, so I don't even take damage, which is incredible for me. Because now I get the U-turn off into the Basket Legion. It's not really doing that much on the field here. And now I get a free switch into the Uxie again. And this is a pretty dang good situation, I think. So bring out the Uxie. I want to tear the Uxie. I guess I could just tear a Uxie. There isn't really a concern of like not going for the tear of Uxie. Yeah, like Terra Uxie isn't too bad. It's just like weak to Golden Go, but I'm not really that concerned about Golden Go right now, especially with my back Pokemon. So I think I'm just gonna go for a Wall Charge in the Basket Legion, and I'm gonna go for that Trick Room, I think. Do I think that Wave Crash plus, I mean, it's Choice Scarf Basket Legion. It's not even Life Orb. I feel like that plus Acrobatics at -1 from a Speed Boost of Roy Moon is not picking up a knockout. I can also Draining Kiss to Roy Moon potentially at the upcoming turn. So yeah, I might as well just Wall Charge. If I get rid of Basket Legion, their comeback factor is very, very limited. And if they switch out Basket Legion, that's perfect too. So what's coming in? Golden Go? Arcanine. That's fine. Don't mind Arcanine coming in. It's taking a Wall Charge. I don't want to Fake Out because like Fake Out doesn't really get me much here. Sure, I maybe take a little bit less damage, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. They actually don't tear with Roy Moon, so maybe just going... Did it even have a dark move? I actually don't think it had a dark move. Was it Breaking Swipe? I can't even remember. But we will just go for the Terra of Uxie. I think it's a fine Terra. No Golden Go makes it a lot easier too. They go for Tailwind, so maybe they expected to pivot back in the Landers, but the Tailwind's not helping them. It's actually just like not doing anything. A Wall Charge in Arcanine, that's free damage in Arcanine. I'll gladly take it. And Trick Room is going to come out from my Uxie, so yeah, not a bad turn. Not a bad turn of events here. Now I can pretty much just Drain Punch to Arcanine, and I don't want to go for the... Yeah, I just want to Drain Punch the Arcanine, I think, in Mystical Power. I don't remember, again, if this is Choice Band Arcanine, but if they switch out, Xian Pao is getting hit by a Drain Punch. If it's Basket Legion, it's getting hit by the Mystical Power, and I just target the next turn, so it's like not that big of a deal. So they do get me here, but it's like they're not really getting that much momentum by doing this stall here. We are able to Mystical Power the Basket Legion, just get that special attack raise. Yep. And Acrobatics going to come out into Uxie. But as you can see, the Roy Moon at -1 without the Terra is just like really not amazing here. I'm just going to go for a Wall Charge into the Basket Legion. I'm also going to go for the Draining Kiss into the Basket Legion as well. Since it's Scarf, like I know that I can pretty much just always get a good pin here into either what's the Arcanine, which is still going to do a pretty good amount of damage. And now Arcanine can't even switch into Falling Turn. It's just always going to get Wall Charge. Nothing on their team wants to take a Wall Charge to Falling Turn. Like they're just struggling right here. And they protected the Roy Moon too, so they're not even getting damaged. Like... they're not really accomplishing much. I'm actually really surprised that there was like no golden go, for instance. The wall charge, I like did the same amount of damage as first one, so I'm a little bit surprised. Draining Kiss gonna come out into the Arcanine +1. Terra Fairy, not gonna pick up a knockout, but it's like good enough damage because I just pinned that slot always with the wall charge, and I just Draining Kiss the Roaring Moon. So yeah, not much they can do. They just don't have switches. They really don't. And I'm just gonna Draining Kiss the Roaring Moon and just wall charge. There really isn't much here. Sure, Trick Room is kind of getting stalled out, but the thing is, I still have a Scarf Landorus in the back, which is still really powerful as an endgame tool. The Uxie is very healthy. They have not gotten anything accomplished against my set, so I'm just very surprised about how they've been playing this so far. Especially that Tailwind from earlier, because the Tailwind I don't think was like necessary at all. So it ends up working out really well in our favor. Let's see. Do they have anything? I'm trying to think, because like just right now Uxie is just sweeping. I kind of wanted them to get a KO, so I just got the free switch, but we're gonna see the Roaring Moon switch out, which is okay in a Basculegion. Xianpao, okay, free Draining Kiss into Xianpao, absolutely will take it. So that breaks the potential. If this is Focus Ash, it breaks it. They go for extreme speed, but guess what? I'm healing, and it is Life Orb on the Arcanine. So it goes down to the Life Orb, and now I get a double redirected attack into the Xianpao. So I get a wall charge and a Draining Kiss, which I think should be enough to KO with the boost in power from Terra. Oh wow, that actually didn't KO. Okay, okay. Maybe it wasn't enough. Maybe it wasn't enough. That's fine though. Trick Room's over. Tailwind petered out. Oh, Trick Room's not over. Okay. So this is Roaring Moon coming back in. I have not been scared of this Roaring Moon at all this entire game. I think I'm just going to go out into Landorus here for the Intimidate and set up a board position for the following turn. And I'm just going to Draining Kiss the Xianpao, I think. The only way I see them getting out of this board state is if they go for a Tailwind of Roaring Moon, Terra flying here to be safe, and then Xianpao protects, which I think is fine for me realistically. The reason I'm doing this is in case they go for a double protect. That means I have a Scarf Landorus that's faster in both of these Pokemon because Roaring Moon no longer has that speed booster energy effect. Then I could just safely U-turn out to Xianpao. I also get the Intimidate onto both, so I can pretty much set up Trick Room very safely. They actually switch out to Xianpao, which is smart, into the Basculegion, which is fine. But I'm getting good amount of damage to the Basculegion. They do go for the Terra with the Roaring Moon. Okay. The thing about this though is they only have one Pokemon that is knocked out. I haven't knocked out multiple, and now the Basculegion, super low, not really going to accomplish too much. I forgot who's faster between my Landorus and the Basculegion. I don't know. I guess we'll find out later. We are going to go for the Draining Kiss. They go for Acrobatics, probably into my Uxie. Oh no, they tarred down my what was my Roaring Moon. Okay. And now I'm just in a super safe position because I can just go for, I don't want to risk Rock Slide. I'm just clicking Earthquake here. I'm going to click Earthquake. I'm going to Trick Room up. Because Uxie under Trick Room should just win, especially with Iron Hands. And I still have the Clawitzer in the back. I haven't brought the Clawitzer. Uxie has just been sweeping this team. They have, like, that's all I've needed. And even if the Basculegion moves here, I don't think they can knock out my Uxie with Acrobatics plus a Wave Crash. I guess we'll find out because I was wrong. It is faster. Okay. I mean, I still get the Earthquake off, and they're still in a really bad position. I don't even know if they can really deal with my Clawitzer anyway. So, like, even if I lose Uxie here, I think I could still easily win this. Let's find out. You go for the Acrobatics. So, my Landorus was just slower, which makes sense. Yeah, like, that Acrobatics did nothing. That's just a sad point about Roaring Moon. Do you get to Trick Room up? I'm not in Sucker Punch range. I think that just seals the game here. I'll just switch out into Iron Hands, I think, for my... Yeah, I'm just going to switch out to Iron Hands and Draining Kiss. I can self-Draining Kiss if I want to make a crazy play like that, but I don't have to. I'm just going to Draining Kiss... You know what? I'm going to Draining Kiss the Roaring Moon. Xianpao protect. Xianpao protect. Or they might actually go on the offensive because oh, they can't really go on the offensive. Again, I don't think Sucker Punch can knock out the Uxie. They forfeit because they kind of realized, oh, Trick Room's up. I have an Intimidated Roaring Moon that just did no damage. They could have went for Sucker Punch Crane a Uxie, but even then, I still have Iron Hands. I still have a Clawitzer in the back. Like, I'm pretty safe there to pick up the win there. So Uxie just so strong against their pretty much team right there. Like Clawitzer was too. And even if they brought Golden Go, like I was prepared to just get Trick 'em up so I could bring out the Clawitzer, and the Clawitzer was going to do a ton of damage, but none of that. No Breloom, no Golden Go. Those were the two really scary Pokemon that I was like fearful of. And yeah, then Uxie was just super safe. All right, let's go over the games. In the first game, was able to take a strong knockout into Fluttermane turn 1 that allowed me to safely set up Trick Room later on and sweep my opponent's fast Pokemon. In game 2, I got some heavy damage into Sylveon as Clawitzer alongside Iron Hands was able to clean up my opponent's weakened Pokemon under the Trick Room. In game 3, I don't know what my opponent was trying to accomplish, but with Intimidates from Landorus, my Uxie was able to sponge up attacks and threaten heavy damage in Trick Room with Iron Hands. Overall, very fun team. I'm not sure if I would say that they're absolutely amazing. However, they were pretty strong in the matches we were able to bring them. Uxie, a really cool pick with Mystical Power. Thankfully, we did not miss Mystical Power because you can miss that move. And then Clawitzer definitely has some pretty interesting options. I wish we were able to Terra and see how well it could have performed with that damage output from Dark Pulse. However, very fun team. If you do want to try out, the rental code is on your screen. You can check out the details of the team indicated down below in the description. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.